Emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
Oh, that's much better.
Edit all the blather out of your videos because my time is very precious.
Oh, that's fire.
Make it less teal and more
Cerulean? Sure.
Replace your background with something more fun? The cold void of outer space.
Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
It needs more style. It needs more clips, more gifs, more. Well, I might have made it too gnarly.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Descript 201, Advanced Video Editing Workflows. I'm Christiana, Community Manager here at Descript, and I'm joined by our amazing demo lead today, Support Manager, amazing human in general, Marcello. Welcome, Marcello.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
It's going super well. I'm so excited to be here with you. This is our first Descript 201. Which feels like an exciting milestone. Marcello and I have hosted Descript 101s for years now. It's been a while, and so this is our first advanced video editing session, and it's been a long time coming. We've been really excited to do this for a while, so I think we're all in for a treat today.
Absolutely. I'm stoked we're finally able to do this. We've been talking back and forth internally and seen so many requests from past sessions to do something a little bit like one layer deeper. So hopefully we can get that done today. Yeah,
this honestly came out of like community members attending our events being like, this is great, but I want that next level. So thank you everyone who requested that. I hope some of you who have done that over the years are here today for our first one. So we'll dive right in. As I just said, this is our first one. So please give us your feedback. Let us know after the event what you would have liked to see more of. We'll have a feedback form too. I'll show you that in just a sec. But yeah, just one last preface. This is not a Descript 101. That is the precursor to this event, and you can find a recording of that on our YouTube channel if you want to start off with something more basic. This session does assume some baseline knowledge of Descript, understanding the basics of how to get around the app, text-based video editing. So if you are looking for an intro, please check out a 101 first and then catch this replay after. But without further ado, let me share some slides and we'll get into our event today. Okay, awesome. And please introduce yourself in the chat, y'all. Like, tell us where you're tuning in from. We normally get a pretty wide-ranging crowd, seeing folks from all over, which is so exciting. So yes, let us know. And since this is a 201, let us know how long you've been using Descript. Okay, let's jump in. So we love to start our events with this slide. If you can imagine it, you can make it with Descript. YouTube videos, clips for social, podcasts, video podcasts. Maybe you're a marketer or you're an educator, an instructional designer, or you're a support person or a salesperson. You need to make those product demos. Let us know which of these most resonates with your use case and what y'all are hoping to make or are already making. Or let us know if it's not on here. Tell us in the chat. Cool. So this is how you can have the best event possible today. Use the chat for your comments and also your questions. The amazing Trevor, who is on Marcello's team, on our support squad, is hanging out in the chat today. He's fast, he's knowledgeable, ask away. And he will also flag questions for us to save for live Q&A. So don't be shy in the chat. This session is recorded. All of our events are, and we'll send it in a follow-up email. And if you need more help, help.descript.com is your best friend. Definitely check that out. We've got guides, reference manuals, and you can chat with support there, send an email, all kinds of good stuff. As I said, we would love your feedback. If you want to get ahead, you can scan this QR code and have that ready after the event. We'll also send the link in the chat, but your feedback on today's event would mean the world. so we can keep getting better. Okay, that's my housekeeping. Let's talk about the actual 201 agenda today. So we're going to review key advanced features in just a sec here. Then we will pass it over to Marcello, and he will lead us through an advanced video editing demo. And then we'll save some time at the end for Q&A, live Q&A. So send us your questions as we go. Here are our learning objectives for today. This is what we want you to leave in an hour feeling like you learned from today's 201. First, understand how to team up with Underlord, which is your AI co-editor. If you're like, what's Underlord? We'll tell you in just a second. Fair question. Number two, we're going to teach you how to masterfully use scenes and layouts to edit your video, which is sort of like the nuts and bolts of how you design the visuals of your video. And then number three, build confidence using the new timeline. We launched a new timeline recently. It's a pretty big redesign, and Marcello is going to walk us through it and show us how to use it. And that's our learning objectives. Those are the big three for today. So let's review some of those key features. Underlord, your AI co-editor. So this is a newer addition to Descript. It's actually currently in beta, but not for long. Spoiler alert. It's hitting the main stage pretty soon. And basically, Underlord is an AI video editor that lives in Descript. It's basically your creative partner, your assistant that you can delegate tasks to, and you just direct it with your natural language. So like you see in this image or this GIF, typing. And it's got all the tools you need to help you make your video. It's optional. You don't have to use Underlord, but we're going to show you how to get the most out of it today. So that's Underlord. Next, scenes. So scenes control how and when visual content appear in your project. We like to describe scenes as slides in a presentation. So each one sort of marks a new moment or a new chapter in your story. As you can see in this GIF, very easy to move them around. And it really just helps you break up your visual story. So you're going to learn how to fully leverage those today. And you can't have scenes without layouts, because layouts are how you make your scenes look awesome. So a layout is a pre-designed scene, and you use it similar to like a template. You throw it on your scene, and it automatically will design your visual elements. So it helps with things like captions, logo placement, colors, things like that. Helps you stay on brand. And we have a bunch of pre-made layouts in Descript, or you can always make your own and share it with your team. And we'll show you how to do that today. And then last but not least, the timeline. So the timeline is definitely an advanced feature. Not touch it at all in Descript 101. Marcello will tell us more as to why. But this is sort of like if text-based editing is a sledgehammer, the timeline is like tweezers or something. It helps you fine-tune your video or your audio, and just gives you the ability to really get granular with your edits, structure, layouts, transitions. So Marcello is going to show us how to use that today. Awesome. Marcello, anything I missed in these key features?
No, nothing major. I would just say, like, with Underlord, if you've been using Descript for a while, Underlord is just reframed. In the past, Underlord would have done things like apply studio sound, but now we have given him quite a bit of a power boost. And then if you've used Descript before, you might be aware that, like, you know, the timeline has gone through some changes, but we're here to make sure, like, today's session is going to have a lot of timeline editing just to make sure people feel very confident with that new timeline, because that is where we are now.
Exactly. Yes. And folks, let us know if you've used the new timeline already. You can go back to the old redesign, but that is a momentary thing, as all things are. All things are in this life momentary. Nothing's forever. So we're going to focus on that new design today, so to help prepare you for when that becomes more permanent. Okay. Marcello, I will throw it over to you. Let's jump into our demo.
Yeah, so let's take a peek. So today we're going to be, again, looking at all those features that Christiana mentioned. I want to show off first our like baked cake is my favorite phrase that I've stole from Christiana, but just showing like the final video that we're going to be building up to and then working our way from just the raw recording up. So I'll share my screen and show off that final edit.
Perfect.
Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep.
Cool. All right, we're in. And you should be able to hear this. Welcome back to another episode of Marcello Explains It All. Today, I'm super excited to dive into a tool that's going to change the way that you edit and record video. Today, we're talking about Descript. Whether you're a seasoned editor or just starting out with recording, Descript is as easy as whatever is easiest for you. Now, you might be wondering, why would we choose Descript, Marcello? Descript isn't just another recording tool. It's an editing platform that's transforming the way that people handle audio and video editing. Its design and powerful features make it a perfect choice for video editors, new or old. First things first, if you haven't already, go ahead and download the Descript app from their official website or use their web-based editor at web.descript.com. That's the one that I use. After you create your account and log in, you'll be able to start a new recording. On the top right of the dashboard, you'll see an option to record. Click on that and you'll be prompted to select how you would like to record. You have multiple options, either camera, screen, audio, or record with others. Let's start with the screen recording. You'll first want to select what you're recording, whether it's a window, an application, a tab. And then from there, you'll also want to select your audio source. Warning, please, before you record, do a sound test. Make sure that the audio is coming in properly and that you can hear yourself upon playback. There's nothing worse than going through a whole educational video or screen recording and realizing your microphone wasn't turned on. That's happened to me when I started recording this video. Descript has some features that you... All right, you get the idea there. I just wanted to make sure that that warning part was in because that is something that I will say in this session.
Wow, that was an awesome video. I love that you showed this because I know Descript and I think a lot of people in the chat know it as well already. We know like there were a lot of scenes in there. There were really cool transitions. You used different layouts. So that even just like a minute or so of playing that, like that is jam-packed with all kinds of features. So really excited to see you build it from the ground up.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things of working through this video project was being able to play with like scenes and layouts. We have so many great layouts in the app, and like the smart. I saw someone in the comments mention smart transition. Yeah. Like the smart transitions here make it look so buttery. It's so nice. Like I love. Like it's very smooth. But yeah, let's get into actually editing this bad boy. Awesome. So first thing we're going to look at is definitely like scenes and layouts. I'm going to pull up this like rough cut that I have and change our view here.
Cool.
So on the top, one thing that we've done with the new timeline is adjust to like where your view menu is. So on the top left of my screen, we can see right now, like I'm looking at just my video preview. But if I want to bring back my script or show the timeline or even change my theme to light mode, which I forgot to do. Sorry, Christiana.
No worries at all.
I can change it right now if you want, my bad. But if you wanted to show your script, we can click show script here and that reappears. Same idea with timeline. If we wanted to see that, we can manually control the view of the timeline and even expand it to see more clips.
Cool.
Yeah, but that's all controlled on the top left. And now that we're back into this like traditional Descript view, let's look at splitting things up into some more scenes and then applying layouts to those scenes.
Awesome. Cool.
So yeah, so with the new timeline, you might have noticed in the script, like in the actual text area, there's no longer the / that used to denote a scene. Now we have changed that / to just be a thumbnail of what is happening on screen. So you'll notice here, like I have my thumbnail of my scene. I've also added here a marker, which I personally love to do just to like split things up. These carry over for publishing as well. And it helps me get an idea of like, I'm introing here, I'm educating here kind of vibe. But yeah, so that's just one major change. And the good thing with this is that we can move these around. So if I wanted to, I can click and drag like where the scene boundary is. So I don't like, if I need to adjust inside of the script, I can still do all of the, like, even though we don't have much changes in the timeline with that, like we can still adjust things in the script here and change these scene boundaries. So we're giving that ability here as well.
Love it.
Tight. So right off the bat, when I edit, and just going to go through like some of my personal workflow, when I edit, I'm usually breaking things out into these larger chapters first and giving a scene per these larger chapters. So you'll see here in my script, I have my introduction, my getting started, my recording overview, actually doing the recording, and then an outro and my warning down here. But inside of these sections, I want to have my visuals change up. I want to apply different layouts. I want to utilize those smart transitions. So let's first break up this like chapter that I have into a couple scenes and apply layouts that are valid for it. So in this first section, welcome back to another episode of Marcello Explains It All. I want to show people Marcello Explains It All, that intro slide, right? So what I'm going to do to apply a layout to this scene is I'm going to click on the thumbnail here, and right above where I've selected, we'll see a button that says layout. Easy as cake. There's several ways that you can apply a layout to a scene, but I'm just going to show off one or two here, and then we'll look at the remainder in a second. But again, you can do most things just by being in the script. If I click layout here, it's going to give me a little tooltip saying, hey, you can create your own custom layouts, which Christiana mentioned, but we'll look at the default ones that Descript has first.
Cool.
So close little thing.
Hitting our own marketing pop-ups during a demo.
Whoa, look, how did that happen? I wonder if I reset my settings behind the scenes. Okay, cool. So when I click on layouts, I here have a layout pack that's default for me. If I wanted to see all of our layout packs, I can click change layout pack here. And on the right-hand side, I'm seeing every one of the layout packs we have. Now you might be asking, like, what's a layout pack? A layout pack is just a container of multiple layouts in the same style. So like all of the layouts in this Berlin Carrot Dark pack are going to have this, black background, white text, orange outline kind of vibe. I usually go for my favorites, like the Helsinki Blueberry Black is seriously my favorite one. So I'll click see layouts here, and this will show me all of the layouts that match that same style. So here I can pick any of these. Let's do like medium intro with an overlay. That overlays me. I click on that layout. It will apply that layout, and automatically it's going to see what's in my script and try to apply a title to this. So right away, I didn't even type anything. Automatically, it's showing the title of Marcello Explains Descript. I want it to say Marcello Explains It All, so I can alter this at any point. None of the layouts that we that you choose are the final piece, right? Nothing is set in stone. You can always go back and adjust things. Yep. So I always tell people, use one of our layouts. And if you want to customize it, like we'll do here, you can save that for later use. And we'll show that before we move on to timeline.
Totally. Yeah. And this feature that reads your script and changes your text layers, it's new. It's smart fill, right? Mm-hmm. I love it because it just gives me at least I'm starting somewhere. I don't have to come up with something from scratch. Easier to edit than fill a blank space. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. There's like placeholders, right? But then there's I would consider this like a smart placeholder, right? Like it's totally. It's at least filling based off my media, but I always can go in after the fact and alter it. So we just saw here, instead of Marcello Explains Descript, I selected Descript. I changed it to Marcello Explains It All, and it filled my space in the corner here. So there was a camera placeholder that it filled me into. Same as the text though, if I wanted to move myself around, if I want to crop myself, if I want to make this range bigger so there's more of me because I like that, I can always adjust those here. And what you'll notice when I click on any of the elements in the scene editor, I have this little mini menu that appears. Again, 201, I'm assuming most people know that this menu appears, but just so you can see, we have crop up here. I can flip anything. I can add effects or animations or adjust my positioning or even the shape of my video here. So if I want to go to circle, I can do that. Cool. Yeah. And then let's just change the color of this as well, just so we can have something that we save for later on. When I want to adjust the color, we have the eyedropper tool, pretty standard, so I can grab the color that kind of matches my background. I'll also change the color of this, and we now have a fully customized layout in a couple of seconds, auto-filled with some text, my face in the corner, which is ideal, and then adjusting the color so that we can utilize this same kind of color scheme for future reference. Now, if I want to save this, pretty easy. I can right click, I believe here, and then save scene as new layout. So again, I'm just right clicking the thumbnail of the scene. I'm clicking save scene as new layout. And then on the right-hand side, it will walk me through creating this layout pack for future use. We'll hold off on that for right now, just because that takes a second. But again, like that's just finishing the step of like titling it and adding it to an existing layout pack or a brand new one is the only final steps there. So pretty easy.
Love it. Someone had asked right before this, can we change the fonts inside the layout packs to stay consistent with branding? Yes, you can. You can upload your own fonts too. You can change anything if you just want a place to start. I would say pick a layout pack, just like Marcello showed, make it on brand, and then save it. And you can share it with your team too. And it's a really, really good design hack, honestly.
Yeah, I think like that is the easiest way to get started. Like I quote this all the time, but like, you know that one episode of SpongeBob where he just writes the word "the" and it's an entirely blank page and he's sitting there for 5.5 days? That's me if I don't have a layout pack to start with. Or like we'll look at Underlord later, like having just like a brainstorming partner to like get started. Like everyone I feel like has at least a little bit of the like analysis paralysis. Like, oh man, even when I started this video, I was like, I have to make a webinar recording. What am I gonna do? And then I asked Underlord and it was like, just make it about Descript. And I was like, you're so smart, dude.
Little genius.
But just to show off like how we could change fonts really quickly. Like I mentioned, if you select something in the scene editor, there's a mini menu that appears above. If you select text, it will actually allow you to change the font like right there. It's the very first thing. And I like the 1UP font. I believe I imported this. It looks cool. It's 8-bitty. That's my vibe. But yeah, so that's how you would change that. And then again, if you wanted to save that for future use, right click the thumbnail, save scene as layout, and you're good to go.
Love it.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Okay, cool. So now let's look on splitting up this into a couple more scenes, add 1 or 2 layouts just so we can kind of see some transitions, and then move into some Underlord and timeline stuff.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Tight. Okay, cool. So just to play this video.
Welcome back to another episode of Marcello Explains It All. Today, I'm super excited to dive into a tool that's going to change the way that you edit and record video. Today, we're talking about Descript.
Great time right there for me to get to visual change up. So I'm going to add a scene here by clicking the / key on my keyboard. Please work. There we go.
Nice.
Gotta do it live. Cool. So here I now have another scene. It's still within the same like chapter that I've created. So it's still in my like introduction chapter, but I now want to have a slightly different layout so that I can show the logo of Descript. Now I'm going from Marcello Explains It All to, hey, let's actually like talk about this piece. So I'm going to go into layouts and change my layout to one that is going to like hold a screenshot. This media one on the top right is an easy one for me to select. And then here I have a new layout. This blank area is a placeholder. For those of you that have not used layout super in depth, the placeholder is in like most of our layouts. But if you have media already in your project, like we saw earlier, if my face, is the main piece of media, it's going to autofill that placeholder. Here, I have a placeholder that's ready for me to drop whatever I so choose. I'm going to select something out of my media library. Let's go into my project files and then the Descript logo. I'm just going to click and drag from my project files the Descript logo, and it's going to fill into that placeholder, sized and everything ready to go. So now playing this back with all these scenes, there should be smart transitions included. So let's see that smart transition in action.
Welcome back to another episode of Marcello Explains It All. Today, I'm super excited to dive into a tool that's going to change the way that you edit and record video. Today, we're talking about Descript.
I'm going to hate hearing myself say, welcome back to Marcello Explains It All, because that's a fake show. But that transition looked really good, dude.
Extremely smooth. Love it.
And let's talk just for a second about smart transitions before we look at maybe how Underlord can help us add some more transitions. But for those of you that are like, hey, how did you make that look so smooth? How did you make that, that piece of content go from the side of the screen? You resized yourself. What is all that, Marcello? Those are smart transitions. If you click on the right-hand side on the scene tab, you'll see everything that relates to your scene. And the smart transitions are transitions in and out of your scenes. So if you have any like pieces of media on screen, the smart transition will smooth them into place or like fade in or out, whatever it may be. But you can control your smart transitions, the duration of them, and the easing all from the scene side rail. And if for some reason, maybe let's say you like created your own custom layout and you forgot to add a smart transition, you could always go in after the fact and add a smart transition or remove them if you prefer a little bit more of like a rigid, like slide presentation kind of vibe.
Right. Totally.
Tight.
Cool. Can I throw a question at you really quick?
Hit me.
We're seeing this come up a couple times in the chat, so I just want to grab it really fast. So we're talking about using scenes. You're making new scenes. But we're also seeing those markers where you have introduction and you're kind of saying what's in each section. How do you define chapters versus scenes, and how do you name them?
Yeah, so great question. So like for me, when and my bad for using the word chapter in Descript, the terminology is marker. So the feature name that I'm using to like apply that is marker. I'm just thinking chapters because I watch a lot of YouTube and it's YouTube has chapters, just to be so real.
Respect.
Like very seriously, I don't have Netflix anymore. But so like a marker is just something that you as the editor inside of Descript use to denote different sections of your video, and they carry over when you export. So like or publish to a page. So like the general chapters, like if you listen to a podcast, you can skip from chapter to chapter. That's like, that is our markers in here. When I'm using markers, I just for myself as an editor, like to have a marker to say like, this is like a section of like the video that is all one piece versus scenes, where scenes are strictly a visual tool, right? So markers for me are just like, here's how I group this bit of information that is actually like the content of what I am saying. And then the scene is the changing of the visuals within that chapter or marker range, right? So like inside of the introductions marker chapter, whatever, I might have 5 or 6 different visuals on screen like we're seeing here. I'm introducing the video, but I'm going from Marcello Explains It All to the app I'm talking about, and then maybe like how to sign up, right? Those visual changes on screen are going to be my scenes changing versus how I'm personally using markers as like a grouping of ideas in a video.
Awesome. That makes sense. Love it.
I was like, is that tracking?
No, yeah. Do you want to like show sticking a marker in really quick?
Absolutely. So for me, the keyboard shortcut is Shift and the number 3. So just like the pound sign on your keyboard. And that by default just makes a marker here. We can see just the word marker, and then I can type in whatever. So test. Oh my gosh. My delete key is broken. Nice. Test. There we go. But yeah, so that's how you would add a marker. You can move these markers around as well. So you're like, actually, here's the start of this chapter, or like, oh man, here's this. But I like, for me, just visually, I really, really, really love having like a chapter and the thumbnail of the start of the chapter, like there. Just visually for me, that looks clean. I like editing like that. But yeah.
Me too. Yep. Feel the same way. Okay, let's keep it pumping.
Yeah. So we've looked at like layouts. We've looked at breaking things out into scenes. We looked at some smart transitions. We looked at applying and saving those layouts. Let's see what Underlord has to say about some of this.
Yes.
So we mentioned Underlord earlier. You might notice that Underlord has moved to like the bottom right of your page. And like Christiana mentioned earlier, Underlord is now a like interactive bot rather than just something that removes filler words every now and then. You can interact with this iteration of Underlord the same that you would with any like LLM or GPT style back and forth. We're using plain English text to interact back and forth with the bot and ask it to take actions for us. So what I'm going to do, we're just manually splitting things up into scenes. I'm going to ask Underlord to split up this video into multiple scenes that kind of make sense so that we can start applying layouts to those. So hey, can you please, because I say please to robots, they will take us over. Can you please split this video up into a few scenes so I can apply cute layouts? I'm now going to ask Underlord to split this up. And the cool thing, like for me personally, like I don't ever want to like say, hey, go do something, and then me close my eyes and not see what's being done, right? I like to, check work kind of vibe. Consider me a math teacher from high school or whatever, but show your work. So here in the Underlord like response, right, is saying, hey, I'll split your video up into several scenes so you can easily apply cute layouts to each one. Here, if you wanted to see what's happening, you can click this little drop down and it'll actually explain like how I'll split this video up into scenes. So it's just writing down like, I'll analyze the current video to determine natural breakpoints for scenes, such as topics, changes, pauses, or visual cues. Same exact thing that we were doing manually, just with some robots.
Yep.
Then next, create multiple scenes throughout your video, making sure each section is easy to style. And then once the scenes are created, you'll be able to apply layouts. So it's not just like, hey, throwing something into the dark. We can kind of see like the logical process of what's happening. And you can see here, like it's taking action. It's applying layouts. It's splitting things up into scenes. This thinking is determining the best layout for scene 6, so we can actually see it live, like it processing.
Yeah, just like ChatGPT. If anyone's used that, come on. I know people have used that.
I've never. No, just kidding.
I wish. No, I'm just kidding. Somebody just asked, like, you just showed us how to manually put in markers, Marcello. Can Underlord do stuff like that?
Exactly what we're showing here. Yes. So Underlord can throw in markers. Underlord can split things up into scenes or apply layouts. The thing with this bot is that it has the same level of access to features as you do. If you can click that button, so can Underlord.
Yep.
So the question is, how well can you ask? how well can you frame your question to get what you want from the bot? Right here, I just said a very kind of open-ended. Hey, can you split this video up into scenes and so I can apply layouts? I'm not giving it like make a scene break at when I have a logical endpoint to my sentence or whatever. I'm just saying split it up, right? So if I just say add markers to my video, it will add those markers. I don't know what the markers would be, what the titles of those would be, but Underlord can do that. So like like Christiana's mentioning, what similar to like interacting with ChatGPT or any of the like LLMs, you want to be as descriptive as possible when interacting with this bot. Because if I give it a generalized comment, it's going to be something general. Now, like depending on where you are in your editing, that might be good or bad. My favorite example that I will show as soon as it's done splitting things up into scenes is asking Underlord to feel the vibe of my video and then apply background music that fits this vibe. Like that is really hitting shuffle on our music library, but it helps me get started, right? I at least know, like, okay, I know, when you're like going out to food with your partner and you're like, what do you want? And they're like, I don't know. At least start with what you don't like, right? If Underlord throws me something bad, I'm going to be like, okay, at least I know I don't want corporate ambient music 003.mp3.
Exactly. I just threw into the YouTube chat a guide that we have up on our blog, like tips for using Underlord, which like goes into detail on a lot of these things, like be conversational, be specific, use positive language. It's better at knowing what it should do versus shouldn't, for example. So definitely check that out because we took real tips from users, people that have really started to use Underlord quite a bit. So yeah, definitely check that out.
Yeah, the things that I will say about Underlord, like Christiana was mentioning, like be specific, but like, and this is gonna sound kind of weird, but it works really, really well. Like Underlord is really, really good at pretending to be something. So if you say, and this goes with like any LLM, right? So if you say, hey, you are a master video editor that works at National Geographic and you specialize in slow-mo like drone shots, make me a video. That actually will change the output. It will go into like, method acting mode and then do edits. So like sounds kind of crazy, but we're in a 201 session. I'm going to give you some crazy stuff. Just tell it to pretend to be Michael Bay or whoever
Ken Burns.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, and then have it take an action. It really does work. There was one time I was making a video. My mom's a real estate agent. And I was like, okay, make a video in like through the eyes of a real estate agent for like advertising. And it came out as a slightly different, but better like output than what I manually was doing. So yeah.
Yep, love it. I just threw up the webpage for Underlord, folks. Just want to remind everyone, it is still in beta. Like we decided to build our agent in public. So we've been doing it for quite a few months now. And we ship specific Underlord changelogs every week. So check out that webpage for all the information. We just shipped some really cool updates, like stuff and things that are coming out as well, like translation stuff, turning slides to videos, really exciting things. So definitely check that out if you haven't yet. I did a quick poll in the chat. Have you used Underlord yet? 73% said yes. 27% have said no. So, but it's really the tip of the iceberg. Like this is going to be a game changer. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, I would say to the whatever percentage that has not used it yet. Right now, while it is still in beta, it does not cost to use any additionally,
Yes.
and does not go against your usage limits. So like for instance, if I go into this AI tools button up here on the top right and I click studio sound, this will use one of my basic AI usages for the month based on my plan.
Yes.
Versus if I go down here to Underlord and I say, hey, can you apply studio sound for me? Because again, this is in beta, it is at no cost. So like there is the thing that we are begging for everyone is try this tool. Give us in with each response, you can do a thumbs up or thumbs down on like the output. We are taking any and all feedback on this. So please like use this bad boy as much as you can. Tell us what's working, tell us what's not. In our Discord, we have a channel for people to give feedback. So feel free to submit a support ticket, leave on our Canny feature request board, anything. We would love to hear what is working well and what is not working.
Totally. Marcello, someone made a good point. You do you still have to turn Underlord on? Could we show people how to do that in settings?
Absolutely. Yeah. This I will also show here. Yeah. So in settings, if I wanted to use the new Underlord, I'll need to, in my labs setting, enable that. So if I go to my settings tab at the bottom of my settings, I'll see labs here. For those of you that don't know, labs is like our answer to like a beta program. We used to have Descript beta, and because that was like causing issues with like versioning, we were like, okay, instead, let's just give people the ability to toggle, like piecemeal toggle off or on specific features as they're coming up. So here, if I wanted to take part in this version of Underlord, I can go into my labs feature and turn on the new Underlord beta tab. So if I turn that off, this little Underlord will disappear. But if I turn that on, I'm here. Same idea. Also, you'll see like right above the new timeline. We can toggle that off or on. For those of you that like are like, Marcello, my screen doesn't look like yours. You most likely don't have this turned on. So go into your settings, check out labs. This is updated semi-frequently. And we have a button right here for you to give your feedback if you are turning that off or on. We keep it very close in case you disable something. We want to know why. But yeah.
Exactly. Cool.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I love it. We've got about 20 minutes left. Anything else you want to hit on Underlord before we jump into the timeline?
No, I think that's all with Underlord. Like we were just saying, the sky is the limit with what you can ask. So like we could sit here and prompt everything in the universe, but like I think one prompt just to show, hey, this works, and then have people, go free range with it. Hell yeah. But let's move over into our timeline.
Let's do it.
Tight. Okay, so there's a couple different ways that we can view the timeline. Right here, if I hover my cursor down here, I'll see this like resize timeline option. I can just click and drag up to view the timeline. Also on the top left, like we showed earlier, if you wanted to a little bit more menu styly, I can go here to hide or show the timeline. And then also right now, what we are seeing is like I don't know if we have like a name for this, but like I'm calling it like the scene timeline, right? Because this is only showing my scenes and my word bar. So right here, I'm just seeing the thumbnail of my video and then the words that I'm saying along the bottom. So I can adjust these to my heart's content. If I wanted some spacing in between these words, I can literally just click and drag here. And this is the start of timeline editing. That what I'm just doing right now is timeline editing. So like, it's not as scary, I promise. But it is like, something that you might not need to use. But if you wanted to adjust the timing of your audio or anything here, you can do that from the word bar. Same kind of idea with trimming the scenes. Let's say like I don't need this 0.5 seconds of me breathing right before I show the Descript company logo, which is, yeah. The microphones in our office are really good. It picks up every breath I took. But if I wanted to like trim that back, I can hover my cursor above the end of this scene, and then I can click and drag this back. So I'm using the trim tool to click and drag this back. I'm not clicking anything on my keyboard, no keyboard shortcuts. This is just by default the trim tool that shows up when you hover your cursor above a clip. That same logic applies when I show the expanded timeline and all of my clips. So what we were just looking at a second ago was just the scene like thumbnail or like the scene container. What is inside of a scene? A scene is made up of multiple pieces of media. So if I want to see like what that's all made of, I'm going to expand my timeline and see this scene that contains like 4 elements. The rectangle, so that little like purple bar at the bottom that I added from my layout, my subtitles, and then my title card, as well as me here. So when most people are talking about timeline editing, this is the view that they are referring to or looking at. By default, you do like by default, you'll only have the select tool. So like I'll be able to click and drag things around. I'll be able to trim clips like we were showing there a moment ago. But if you wanted to have some additional tools in the timeline, you can go to the View tab up here and turn on timeline tools. So show in timeline and advanced timeline tools. That's going to give you all of these additional options to edit with. So if you don't have that turned on, you will not see any of these like tools in the sidebar, but enabling that will give me access to the blade tool, the hand tool, the range tool, and the slip tool, in addition to my select tool. I'll go over what each of these are really quick, starting from hand. Hand is just my navigation. I am clicking on things, but I'm not moving any like any clips. This is just the same kind of vibe as like me scrolling around. I can navigate my timeline with the hand tool, but it's not doing any actual editing. Versus the blade tool, which does make some cuts. So if I wanted to like cut off the, you know, this rectangle, I can click on my timeline and I've made now 2 clips. The reason I would want to do that is like maybe I want the rectangle to like be in the second clip as well, or move it around, or just maybe even delete a portion of that. So that's one use of the blade tool. And then similar to the blade tool, we have our range tool. So instead of a single click to make a cut, I can make a selection or a range selection. And with this range selection, I can either delete this, I can copy paste this to another section of my video, I can click and drag this around. So let's say like, you know, I really want to end my podcast or my episode with, you know, me saying, Marcello explains it all again. I can make this selection, copy this with the C key on my keyboard, scroll to the end of my video, and then hit paste. And here's my media. So range tool, again, is just grabbing everything within that range that you're clicking and dragging. And then very last is my favorite and weirdest to explain, the slip tool. So like the slip tool is, if you've used like video editors before, like the slip tool is pretty common in video editing, like in like a Pro Tool or Premiere or like iMovie or Final Cut. But what the slip tool does is it allows you to move media in a range. And I'll give you an example. So like, let's say for my intro, right? I have 15 seconds of an intro in my YouTube video, and I want a song in that 15 seconds, right? The song is a minute long, but I know I want 15 seconds of that song. Yep. This tool allows me to retain the 15-second block, but slip the media around inside of that 15 seconds. So I'm playing different parts of the song, but still within the boundaries of a 15-second timing. It's the reason that this is weird to explain is exactly what I just said. I'll add a song just really quick just so we can see exactly what I'm talking about. This is why I'm like, okay, the timeline is actually super sick for this use case, because although I cannot explain the slip tool without a visual here.
Right.
So here I'm just adding from our stock media library, whatever, like island melodies. And here I will use the blade tool, like I was showing a second ago, to cut this and remove that last part. So now I have 6.8 seconds worth of song. If I go here to my slip tool, or you click the Y key on my keyboard, I can now slip this around, right? So you see like the waveform inside of the clip is moving, but the duration of 6.8 seconds and the placement of that clip is not moving at all.
Yep.
Here I even have, like when I hover my cursor above, it's showing me I'm starting from second 4 and I'm going to second 11 from that media file. So it makes it even easier for me to scroll around. Like I know the chorus of the song that I want hits at like a minute and a half. Cool. I can just click and drag and get over to that minute and a half.
Love it.
But yeah, that's a slip tool. Anything I missed there? I know that's a weird one, but that's why I closed with that.
No, you did an awesome job. It's a hard thing. It's very abstract until you see it. Some folks just wanted a refresher. How did you turn those on again?
Absolutely.
How did you access those?
Yeah, so by default, they are turned off. We try to make like the timeline like easy to use and like not too visually busy. So you do not have these turned on by default. If you want to enable these additional timeline tools, on the top left of your screen, you'll click View. Then we're going to go to Timeline. Yep. And then under Show in Timeline, the first option, we're going to toggle Advanced Timeline Tools. So we would consider 201, we would consider these Advanced Timeline Tools. Yep. So by enabling that, I now see the option to select all these tools here. And because I am a keyboard shortcut warrior, I'm clicking usually all of these keyboard shortcuts, but you have those all listed to the right here.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Love it. So Marcello, if someone wasn't using those advanced timeline tools, what would they be using the timeline for? Like for these folks who are looking to do more advanced editing, like they've mastered the transcription based editing. Like, what is the timeline really for? What would you say to folks?
Yeah, the timeline. Okay, so like the timeline, how I would think about it is like when I'm editing media, like via text, for myself that has been doing video and audio editing for like the better part of 15 years, right? When I'm doing text-based editing, I'm able to do quick, broad stroke editing, right? Let's say I want to remove filler words. That's a text-based edit because beforehand, when there was no text-based. I would have to look in this timeline and zoom in and find out when the dude that was paying me said triple hopped IPA for the 19th time. And then I had to remove him saying right before that. It was a thing. So like with text-based editing, I could do these broad strokes, like remove filler words without having to get granular. But now thinking one step deeper into like 201 or like editing headspace, let's say I remove a filler word and there's a harsh cut, like I'm chopping off some of the word next to it. The timeline is basically where I go immediately when I hear any type of like clipping or cutting. Because in the timeline, I can, even without, like I've disabled the timeline tools just so we can kind of see what it looks like. But like even without the advanced timeline tools, I can still adjust my trimming. Like here, right here, I say the word this is literally where I cut out a filler word. Like I can, without the advanced timeline tools, still bring that back or remove that. The reason I might bring it back is like I use the word like correctly and incorrectly because I was raised on Nickelodeon. So when I remove all filler words, I'm removing all likes. There's some likes that I want to bring back. So even without like, see right there, without even doing the advanced timeline tools, I'm able to restore some media. But this is a timeline action. And I myself, like I'm more comfortable in a timeline editor because I've been doing it for literally a decade, which is insane to say out loud. But but this is the idea is that like the timeline, while like kind of visually scary at first, like is not that that's separate from text-based editing. They go hand in hand. The good news is that Descript makes it so easy to edit that you don't always need to look in the timeline. But for those of you that are like interested in fine edits or making sure every T is crossed and I is dotted, like timeline editing is good to have in your back pocket.
Totally. Yes. I love the way Brad Frost in the chat described it. I use the timeline all the time, especially for fine-tuning the rhythm of my speech. Text-based can chop things into general shape, get your rough cut done, and then timeline tweak it to bring it home.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. It's something cool about Descript is a lot of experienced video and audio editors come in from a traditional DAW and they have to learn text-based editing and get used to that. And then some people who are brand new to this stuff start with text-based editing and get it really quick. And then they're like, okay, let me get into the timeline. So we're kind of all in this spot now in this 201. And yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, I think like that's like the cool thing with Descript is like if you are a tenured editor that has used a bunch of like pro tools before, or if you are literally my dad trying to make Instagram motivational content who has never used his Apple Watch correctly, Descript is for you. But yeah, shout out dad. But yeah,
shout out. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Okay, so go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, last couple of things we'll show on the timeline. I don't know if we have Q&A scheduled for today, but we can do that as well. But I have just one or two things to show on the timeline before we are done with that section. So we were looking at markers and chapters. We can show those on the timeline as well. The same area where I'm clicking show advanced timeline tools, I can also see like a voice meter. So for those of you that want to see like your audio leveling,
whatever is easiest for you.
As you're playing back, you can see that right here on the timeline. If I wanted to also, I can show all of my markers, all of my comments and pins. So let's say like I'm editing back and forth with Christiana and I want to like leave a comment for her to see later. I can make a selection here. I will leave a comment saying, cut this, I look bad. And then here in my timeline, I now see this little like annotation of a comment. Also, if I go a little bit further back, I can see like a purple marker for my chapters or markers, right? And then here I even see like where music was inserted. So these are all like without even having to fully expand the timeline, like I can see other visual indicators here that help me continue editing without needing to go like super in depth. So like you can approach the timeline at whatever fits your needs, right? You can do from this, abbreviated view per se, or this full like timeline editing view. But you still have visual access. You can see what is happening on this like abbreviated timeline. I don't know how to describe this aside abbreviated scene timeline, whatever. But yeah.
I love that.
But yeah, and then final thing is if you are like, hey man, this left to right timeline is a little bit too much, no sweat. We have another way to visualize your scenes. So if I click right here in the timeline, instead of seeing what like this traditional timeline, I can just see my scenes as slides. So like if you are, like have used Keynote or any of these PowerPoint style ones before, this is the same the same kind of idea where I can see just like blocks of scenes and I can insert transitions or add scenes here. This is where I can add a smart transition, or I can fade to black, or add my favorite transition, the star wipe, where it just zooms in and out of a star, which is the sickest feature we have.
You love that star wipe.
God, it's so sick, dude. Hold on, we're doing it. It's so cool. I love it.
Show the people star wipe.
Explains it all. Today, I'm super excited to dive into a tool that's going to change the way that you edit and record video. Today, we're talking about Descript.
So sick. So sick, dude. I love that. I love this job. Okay, cool. But yeah, that's all for the timeline. So again, just the final pieces of like voice meter, wanting to show like you can jump to any of your markers quickly and easily here, and then different ways to visualize the timeline. But yeah.
Love it.
Cool. That's all.
Cool. Q&A. Wow, that was.
Did I miss anything? I feel like awesome. I did that, right?
No, you did great. Great. Yeah. Let's review it real quick. Let me just look at our slides. So we did Underlord. We showed an intro. We gave the people access to it. We taught them how to turn it on. Scenes, how to make scenes, how to edit them up. Layouts, how to apply layouts and save your own. And then, of course, the timeline. We just got through it. So those were our learning objectives today. I say we did it. Good job, Marcello.
I can't believe we did that all in an hour. That's great.
Yeah, with some time for Q&A, which is so great. Also, I just want to shout out, as always, Trevor is crushing it in the chat as always. Somebody asked, is Trevor a bot, an AI, or is Trevor real? Trevor is real. He's the realist, and he's awesome. So.
Just to plug as well, every Wednesday, me and Trevor do an open office hours in our Discord. So if you would like to be proven that Trevor is in fact human, you can see him and me on screen answering your questions in Discord Wednesday from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Pacific. Shameless plug.
Yes, Trevor's the best. And those office hours, Marcello has been doing those for so long. And now Trevor is joining him, which is great. Also got to shout out Trevor. Trevor and I are the people that read all of our social media comments and posts. He started to help me out with that a few months ago, and it has literally changed my life. So shout out Trevor. And that's a plug. Tweet at us, LinkedIn, post at us, like say hi, tell us how you enjoyed this event. Take a screenshot and you'll get a comment from us and post it. That would be kind of fun. So yeah, join our Discord and come hang out. But let's hit a couple of these questions really quick. And if anybody has to jump off, thank you so much for being here. Please give us feedback on today's event. It would mean so much to us. And yes, let's do some questions. We'll only have time for a few, but we will make them awesome.
I'm glad we plugged office hours, because if you have further questions, submit a ticket to my support team and or visit us.
There we go. Perfect. Is there a way to create a template, let's say layout pack probably, that consists of a number of different layouts all hanging together because they're friends? So bumper, intro, episode, outro, bumper. So basically, we can make our own layouts. Can we make our own layout packs?
Yeah, absolutely. So like when I was showing earlier, like selecting the layouts, all of the different layouts in the same kind of style, those are contained in what we call like layout packs. So the answer to the question here is like, yes, you could create a layout pack. The pack would contain one layout that's titled bumper, one layout that's titled intro, one layout that's titled episode content. But there's not a way to like do all of those at once, right? So like some people think, hey, the format of my podcast, let's say, is always the same. I always do my intro. I always intro the guest. We always have an ad read at 3 minutes, right? There's not a way to just say like my whole project is a template, but we have layout packs to contain like similar templates layouts so that you can apply those pretty easily and are all like in the same style format.
Cool. Love it. This just came through the chat. Is there a 301 or more advanced learning available? Listen, now that we got 201 down, we would love to do a 301 and keep on building on this.
What I was going to say is like, I would love to do a 301 and a 401, whatever. I didn't go to college. I don't know how far those numbers go. But I would love to know so we covered a 201 today, right? What was potentially missing from this that you would want in a 301? Or are you just saying like, hey, is there like, how far does the ceiling go? Can we see what's next? We would love to, as Christiana mentioned, hear your feedback on this session. So if it's like, hey, I thought this would be covered in a 201, but it wasn't, that's great feedback for us. Or like, hey, what's, is this the max? Is the sky's the limit? That kind of vibe. But yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let us know. Honestly, like shoot us. You can, like I said, post on social and let us know. Or let me bring this up again. This is the QR code for feedback. I also pinned it in the chat. You rate how helpful this was. And then there's also like a blank space where you can tell us anything. Use that section, like just say like, this is what I would want in a 301. That'll be really helpful for us so that we can keep it going.
I do like Chuck Bryan in the chat, 2 million and one.
Yeah.
Big vibe. I'm glad you think I can provide that.
Yes. The elite god tier Descript learning. I love it. Okay. Maybe a couple more questions here before we close out. This is always a good one. Is Descript on web or in the app better?
Great question. This question used to be a lot harder to answer. And luckily, after a lot of updates we've made, it is very easy. With Descript, we develop for web. So like we are developing on like Chromium-based web browsers. Yep. So when you also download the Descript app, it is exactly like a Slack or a Discord, where it is a downloaded app that's just a mirror of the web version. There's going to be some minor differences between the desktop and the web version, but personally, as someone that has been doing video and audio editing for a long time, I used to tell myself I'm never going to use a web app because I don't have the download CD. It's got to be on my computer, right? I am changed as a person now. Yep. Descript on web is my primary way to edit. So like if you're asking which is better, I think they are both pretty equal, but there are like the quick recorder, like our screen recorder, is only available on the desktop version. So like just depending on like what features you need, I would say there's a slight difference, but in terms of like performance, stability, like should be a 1-for-1. If that's not your experience, please submit a support ticket.
Boom. Perfect. Okay, someone asked again for the Discord link. I put it in the chat, and then you can scan that QR code. It's just discord.gg. It's like, where could it be? /Descript. Okay, awesome. And then I just wanted to bring this up as a really cool idea and something we tried before, and it didn't get a ton of interaction. But it would be better for an advanced feature. Someone said, like, I know a recording of this webinar is going to be available, but what we really need is like the recordings Marcello is using during the webinar, so we can learn by doing, not watching. Something to consider. Maybe we could.
I'm beyond. Yeah, I have to trim out my bad takes because I do curse at myself when I say the wrong line. But aside that, I'll give you the project right now. Hell yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. So, folks, I will. Once Marcello passes me those links, we'll do a link of the finished video that we saw at the beginning, and then also the raw video. I will link that in the YouTube description, so you can come and find that link anytime you need. And yeah, we'll put it in a Descript project. You can download it and then upload it to Descript for yourself.
I just have to cut out all the times where in between takes I go, blah, 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 wrong line.
Right, exactly. You got to protect yourself.
I don't need a hyper edit of that on TikTok tomorrow morning.
Exactly. Okay. It is that hour mark. So I am going to close this out.
We did it.
This was really fun. I think for our first Descript 201, it was a pretty big success. Chat, you were awesome. Our friends watching, over 300, I think at its height, 350 people, which is super fun. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Trevor, thank you for holding it down in the chat as always. You are literally the GOAT. And Marcello, I mean, you're the GOAT's GOAT. You are you're the king of the goats. This was like a really great demo. Thank you so much for doing that. I also loved the purple and black color scheme that was going on. Everything was good today. Folks, please, you can watch this again anytime you need. It'll live forever on our YouTube. Join us on Discord. Give us your feedback for this event. It will help us so much. And yeah, just thanks for being here and wanting to learn Descript and getting better at it. Don't be a stranger. Like, me and Marcello and Trevor are like very online and involved in the community. Like, tweet at us, shoot us an email. You can figure out our emails pretty easily. Go on Discord. Like, we want to keep these relationships going. Show us what you make. And yeah, that's that. More exciting updates coming from Descript this summer in just a few weeks even. So keep your eyes peeled, and we'll see you at the